Welcome to the epic adventure that is One Man's Money Mission.
Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to cover the income, saving and investment cycle to financial freedom. There's a pretty good chance that you might not have heard of this term before because I just made it up this week. Trust me though, this is one of the most reliable ways to get wealthy. No get-rich-quick scheme, just hard work and time. My name's Gareth and welcome to One Man's Money Mission. As far as the channel is concerned, I'm not necessarily covering any new ground this week. I've spoke about most of these topics before. However, sometimes it's nice to visualize things in a different way and look at things from another perspective. So what do I mean when I say income, saving and investment loop? Let's start at the start. Income. Income can literally be defined as incoming cash. Typically, as adults, we need income to live and pay our bills and survive in this world. We're all familiar with it, and for most people, the biggest source of income is their job. Income is not always salary from a job though. Some people might get benefits, some people might get investment returns, some people might get business returns. There's a variety of ways. So next up is, what do we do with our income? There's lots of things that people do with their hard-earned cash. However, for simplicity, we'll look at the two main channels for the flow of money. So channel one, straightforward, people pay their bills and they spend their money on goods and they spend their money on entertainment and a variety of things just to make life a little bit more entertaining. And by the way, an interesting fact for you, for 17% of people in the UK, nearly 1 in 5, this is where the journey ends. 1 in 5 people do not have any savings. They get their income, they spend it before the month's out. So what do the remaining 83% do? Well, this brings us to our second channel, saving. 83% of people in the UK put away some sort of savings. And staying on the stats train, those 83% of people on average will save just 10% of their income. Personally, I think people should save more. I think a lot of people live beyond their means, but that's subjective, just my opinion. I'll let you decide what you think on that one. So we've now started the loop. We've got income, we've got savings. And to most people, these things will be very familiar to you. It's what most people learn when growing up. Get a good job and save your money, and that's all there is to it. The next step of the loop, however, I think is where most people's financial education stops. Sadly, at least in my opinion, this is the most important step to ensure that you can reach some kind of financial freedom and unburden yourself with the everyday stresses that finance brings to our lives. This brings us on to investing. To continue with the statistics again, only half the people that save will ever invest. So that's half the people in the UK that have savings are going to let their savings sit there until the day they die. This makes me very sad. I'd personally like to see more people saving and investing for themselves because after all, you are investing and saving for yourself. So what is investing? In my own words, investing is using money to make more money. To phrase it another way, it could be using your money to work for you. Some examples of ways to invest money might be properties, such as buy-to-lets, maybe the stock market, premium bonds, a business, even investing in yourself in order to gain the knowledge that allows you to generate more income in the future. So why should I invest the money, is what you might ask. And you ask the question and you shall receive the answer. We invest our money to receive more income. There you go. The loop has been formed. This makes me very happy. Now that we've established the loop, let's use some real world numbers. We'll use my own figures from my own finances and my own spreadsheet, and we'll use them here. We'll then make some predictions for the future and we'll talk about how we get to financial freedom. So let's start with a fresh template for our loop and go from there. Firstly, let's look at my income. My income is currently my job, at which I've currently got down at around £2,000 per month. Of that £2,000, for argument's sake, let's say I spend roughly £1,700 on my bills and any goods that I purchase and just standard day-to-day living. This leaves me £300 a month, which I squirrel away into my savings. Pretty standard stuff for 83% of people in the UK, apparently. So now let's fast forward 4 months and this is what we look like. Every month I've stuck to the plan and I've kept my expenditure the same and put that £300 away into savings. This now leaves me in this current state. At this stage, one could ask, Well, why haven't you started investing yet? The reason for this is £1,000 of that money is my emergency fund, so I want that available at all times in case of an emergency. It's in my opinion that everybody should have an emergency fund, although the amount might differ from person to person. All the same, the emergency fund should always be there. These aren't exact figures that you see on the screen, but any excess that I actually have over that emergency fund, that £1,000 emergency mark, will be invested initially into myself. So for me personally, I'll be investing in that estate agency course that I talk about in my videos. The investment in myself will allow me to learn the new skills that I need to potentially increase my job income and to also start up that estate agency business, which then becomes an asset that brings in more income. Fast forward 1 year and take a look at what could happen in this perfectly viable scenario. Let's just say we've started the business, it started to take off, we've started earning good money from the business. It's likely that we now work for the business, so the business becomes our job. We employ ourselves through our own business. That's my personal plan. What's important here is that we keep saving. The exact saving figure doesn't matter at this point. It's the concept of saving and investing around the loop is what I'm trying to convey to you. And ultimately, the more money you earn, the more money you invest so that you don't have to earn. And what do I mean by don't have to earn? Well, I'm talking about financial freedom, that term you are always hear me yammering on about. I'm talking about not having to work for your money. Let your money make money for you. Let's have a look at how. To do this, we'll jump forward another year and let's see what happens. We've continued to save and now we've built up quite the sizable pot of cash. So what next? What do we do with this money? Well, we invest it. It won't be earning much money, sat in a low interest savings account, so we need to do something with it so we can get a viable return. One example might be that maybe we buy some property that we can rent out, which will give us a steady income stream. People refer to this as passive income or cash flow. Let's skip over another year. As you can see, we now have our properties and they are generating a steady income stream. We're also still generating money from our business, and you'll see that our savings took a bit of a hit because we've invested into the property. But that doesn't matter. We haven't lost that money. That money is still sat in our properties. We keep going around the loop. We keep bringing money in. We save the money. We use our savings for those investments. For the final scenario, let's take a big leap into the future. We'll have a look what 10 years down the line might look like. So we've purchased a few more properties and we've decided to diversify our portfolio and buy some stocks and shares. We may even have some other investments such as bonds, etc. But it doesn't matter what they are. The point is we've made investments with our income and our savings. And look at that. We've even got some savings on the go ready for our next set of investments. Now at this point, something magical has happened. Can you tell me what it is? The magic is that we have reached financial freedom. The income from our investments is now enough to cover our bills and outgoings. We could even quit our job and the investments would take care of everything. This is financial freedom. We will still have 2.3k to spare at the end of the month to continue the loop and create more wealth, or just sit back and relax. The work is done. The choice is now yours. So to summarize in my own words, we work to save, we save to invest, we invest to work less. Which, let's be honest, sounds like a pretty cool statement and I would take in full credit for it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something new. If you liked it, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel.